Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Pits of Motor Chaos. This is your host, Dave. I got online special guest, former Pro E85 driver Bob Stryker. How you doing, Bob?
Good, good. How are you?
I'm good. So, how'd the last event go for you on Saturday in Indiana?
Oh, it was a great day. We're not running much this year. We had just one heck of a day out there. We're losing first round. It's a real tight race, but car ran real well, and then of course the last pass of the day was just awesome. So got a chance to cut the car loose a little bit. So fantastic way to wrap up our 10th year.
And to wrap up your Pro E85 career too, huh?
Yep, that'll be it for me as a driver anyhow. We're switching venues a little bit and going to try to do a little nostalgia funny car racing next.
Are you doing alcohol or nitro?
That's alcohol.
Blown alcohol?
Yeah, blown alcohol. Actually, the same motor that's in the Camaro. We have blown and injected 540. We decided if we're going to put a 2-speed Lenco in or a Power Glide, but we'll figure it out as we go here.
So now, when did you get the funny car?
I just purchased the funny car here about a month ago. It's been looking off and on for a while, and this one popped up and was close enough and able to cut a good enough deal on it that we said, okay, let's do this. So unfortunately, the Camaro's going to have to go, and in order to keep the funny car, I can't keep too many of these cars. So.
Now, who was the previous owner of the funny car?
That's a guy by the name. Well, originally this funny car was run by Don Gerardo. He's just the other side of Fort Wayne, Indiana, and he won the car. He campaigned the car in '78 and '79. Had an injected big block Chevy, and it had a blown Hemi in it for the couple of years that he raced it. And then he pulled the motor and trans out of it and put it in storage, and there it sat for about 30 years. And then it changed hands here just a couple of years ago to a man over here in Quad Cities, and they put an injected big block in it last year, and the guy he hired to drive it they did one burnout, went about 100 foot, shut the car off, and it scared him. And then the man was going to start looking for another driver, and ended up with some health issues and sold the whole deal to what's the guy's name? It's John Dunn. It's down there in Monticello, Illinois. So John, he buys and sells a lot of the nostalgia funny car stuff, and I just happened to see it on Facebook, contacted him, and cut a deal for some pro mod stuff I had, and a little cash, and brought it home. So
nice. We'll be looking forward to seeing you out with that funny car.
That's I'd like to see that if we can make it out by July or so next year, I'll be doing pretty good. Like I said, just depending on what we want to do tranny wise, and take it apart and rework the car a little bit. And it's got a fresh 6.0 tag on it now. It just passed tag, so and the man that had out there in Quad Cities, he put all the new safety stuff, fire bottle chutes, the belts, all that kind of stuff. And so it's not going to take a whole lot to put this car together, other than I need to do a little cage work to it, expand it so it fits me. I'm a little bit bigger guy than what the cage is, but we can more than handle that. So we're looking forward to playing with that over the winter and getting ready to go for next season.
Yeah, maybe we can see you run at the Time Machine Nationals at Great Lakes Dragway.
Yeah, that would be cool. That's one of my favorite places to race as it is. We'll see how that goes. Get it together and see if I got what it takes to drive this thing, and just after being in it, I'm looking forward to it. This looks like it should be an interesting deal. So get a bucket list item off the list there and go play for a while.
Yeah, because as you know, before the Time Machine Nationals got rained out this year, they were supposed to have six funny cars up there.
Yeah, and they typically do. They have a number of alcohol funny cars. Some other guys that help out a man down in Des
Yeah, unfortunately, with the rain date on the September 22nd, they already had another event to do, so they couldn't come out the 22nd.
Yeah. Unfortunately, rescheduling like that, it gets tough, especially end of the year. Everybody's booked into some place or another, and it's and likewise, I didn't even have the opportunity to make it up here for that. I very, very rarely miss that Time Machine Nationals. We've been going to that for a lot of years. Even prior to the 85 guys going up, we'd take the vet up there, and me and my wife, we'd have a ball. So hopefully we'll see where we get into this next year. Get it together, go out and play with it, and then see what the next day brings.
Yeah. Well, thinking about going back here now, how did your whole drag racing career begin, Bob?
Well, I guess it's like a lot of us. It starts out with your dad. That's Dad in the old US 30 days, and some of his buddies that run cars out there. And as you start to grow up a little bit, as kids, we played around on the street with hot rods and had a 55 Chevy, which was one of my favorites as a kid growing up. And I run with another fellow that name was Brian Twillo, run a little blown and carbureted small block Chevy too. And we run out at 30 for a few years, and you just got the bug. It just started. So we played with the cars off and on, and then comes the family, and walked away for about 7 years as we played girls softball and boys baseball and things, and then got my son involved in a junior dragster, and the junior dragster race for close to 5 years. Was track champion down at 41, so Bobby done real well. And then myself, I moved right into about 15 years ago. I moved into a blown out Camino chassis car to just go out and bracket race. And one day we were sitting down there at Race Engineering. Some friends in Crown Point just got a chassis shop there, and the whole concept of this E85 we talked about. And so that was a little over 10 years ago. So with this being our 10th season, we put some cars together and been E85 racing ever since. So it's been a fun ride the last 15 years between the bracket racing and traveling with the blowing cars. Been a lot of fun.
So what year did you first meet Dwayne Waldrop?
Yeah, I probably met Dwayne Waldrop 25 years ago. We took some nitrous bottles. A friend of mine, Eddie Schultz, had some nitrous bottles, and Dwayne was getting ready to run one of those fastest pre-car shootout deals down in Memphis, Tennessee. And I just moved back from California. We took some bottles over to his house. At that time, I think he was still living with his mom, if I remember right, at his Camaro, one-car slot there. That was my first time meeting Dwayne, and then we'd bump into each other here and there, and then got to know him a little bit, a whole lot better when we got involved with this E85 racing there 10 years ago or so. So that's pretty much the short end of the story here with Dwayne. So he kind of took over. Once again, he was friends with Kevin and Dennis also, and he called for the first meeting, and then off we went. Put together, we had seven cars at our first event, and by the end of the year, we had a full field. We had some real nice cars from Illinois to Indiana, and all racing down in Morocco. Dwayne put together a pretty good group there.
So how many years did you have that Corvette?
I raced that Corvette 5 years. It's 4.5, 5 years, because 1 year I was kind of split between the Corvette and the Camaro. But the Corvette, I bought that Corvette from my dad years back, and it was a pro street car. And we looked at it, and Dennis Kevin had put a cage in it for my dad, and there the car set. It never got put back together. And we injected with a Lenko in it. And off we went, just doing something a little different and having some fun. You know? It's and we done so much body work to the vet that we got to the point that we were starting to learn this injection system and took the Lenko out and put an automatic in it, and we started carrying wheels, and I didn't want to do monster wheel stands with the vet, so I purchased this Camaro and pulled the motor and trans out of the vet and just kind of covered it up off to the side and says, well, let's race this Camaro. We can put it on the bumper and run the Camaro for the last 5 years. So,
yeah, both cars are beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, we got a lot of time with them. It's a lot of time, a lot of help, a lot of friends. Between myself and the guys down at the race car shop and my best friend Bruce Sanders, a lot to do with both cars. And then the man that's presently driving the vet, Bob Piante and his son Anthony. We took big tires off it and they put small tires on it and a little more suspension travel and has really made the car work well, as it was very well seen Saturday. So with Bob on that 799 pass with it, but that was impressive. That was good. That's something we wanted to see out of one of the cars. And so we got to get that accomplished and done, and yeah, it feels pretty good to see that happen. Take over for Bob.
So how many crew members did you normally take out with you when you ran with the Pro E85 group?
Well, it's changed. It's typically there's I got one guy or my wife Joan. My grandson's been the crew member sometimes. Sometimes depending on if I'm the one running, Bob's helped out. That's and then vice versa. We've had Ron. We've had just various people over the years that's stepped in from Tom Murray from running the Lenkos. He ran Lenkos in his cars years back, and Paul Catoni via telephone helping us tune clutches and things like that. Jeff Kaiser was originally part of the crew people for the first few years, and Jeff and myself and Tom would go out to the track, and like I said, of course, my wife and my dad the first year or so, and before we lost him, but I still believe he's with us every time we leave the garage. So it's just a couple of us. Even with the long trips, we've raced in Nebraska with 45 guys and Indianapolis, and had the opportunities to travel a little bit and run all over the place. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely. Every race, your dad is watching down on you.
Yep, I'm sure he is. I'm sure he is. Like I said, it was a big influence in doing what we do today. So.
Now, besides your dad being a big influence, was anybody else influential to you for drag racing?
Well, I mean, I guess you got your heroes, you know. It's growing up here in the Maryville area, Portage and whatnot, and with US 30. As a kid, the Bobby Woods funny car was one of them that influenced me, and then the wheel standard guys. The Amander Glass and of course Little Red Wagon and them guys. Just those were the ones I watched. These guys that did a little racing, did a little exhibition stuff. That's my biggest influences within the sport. So.
Man, you got Richard Hutchins still doing the wheel standing.
Yes, he is. Real neat guy. 80 years old and still out there doing the wheel standing. I had the opportunity to sit and talk with him for a couple hours. Cedar Falls, Iowa, what a race it was with that. That's one of my dreams also. I got a 62 Corvair that I'll get around get back to working on, but that's a wheel standard I'd like to see come out here within the next 4 or 5 years. Get this funny car going a little bit
And
wheels.
Jim Brewer with his wheel stand, he's been going at it for a pretty long time too.
Yes, he has. That's Jim and his many wheel standers he's had. Same thing with him. I had the opportunity to. We were up at the Time Machine Nationals. Me and my wife were with the vet, and we got rained out on a Saturday. And Jim come over and we sat and barbecued and for just hours and just talked about some of the things he'd done throughout his career. Real neat guy. So been real fortunate to sit and spend some time with a few of these guys. It's been cool, you know.
Sitting down with the legends, man.
Yeah, and that's what some of this drag racing. I mean, for the last 10 years, we've exhibition raced and we've chased the big shows, and between the 85 guys, and I run with the Mafia, the Midwest Superstock Mafia, and Dennis and them, and they took us to a couple different places where the crowds were, and a lot of these wheel standards were, and it's afforded me the time just to sit and be able to talk to a few of them. An interesting deal, you know. So couldn't have got there any other way, I don't think.
Have you ever had a conversation with Arnie the farmer?
That's no, not in length. I've met the man a few different times, but unlike a couple of the other drivers, I've never sat down and really talked to them. At the Time Machine Nationals and a couple of the other events that we go to, the Cordova, we run the time with the Super Bowl of drag racing there, or the World Series. It's a World Series of drag racing. He's a busy man. But I met him, got one of his shirts, got one of his Army shirts hanging in the closet, that's autograph home, and another real neat guy. Been doing this forever, you know.
Yeah. So now, Bob, what was the quickest ET you've had with both of your cars?
Well, I don't remember. I run a 70 pass in the vet. It was the sun and the moon and the stars aligned, and that was a one-shot deal. And then, of course, this weekend was a personal best. This 839 at 163, and this Camaro was the best pass on that. That was a personal best, and what a ride! That was fun. That's as fast as I've ever been. We run 60s consistently. I run my first 60 actually with the Mafia out there at the World Series at Cordova. At the 60th. That was cool. But to go to 39 this weekend it made the day. For me going 39 and seeing Bob do the 799 and being just 100 foot behind him, it's the best thing in the house to watch that run. That was real rewarding, if you will. But for all the work that we put in these tires over the years and broken parts and pieces, and to let these things hang out a little bit, and then finally see them do what we want them to do. It was great. Couldn't have had a better day. I might as well won the race. It was the way we felt when we left. It was a good day.
So what do you think you're going to miss the most about running with the Pro E85 guys?
I guess it's all the guys. Over the years of the barbecuing and the corn cooking and just the camaraderie. The group's changed a little bit. There's a handful of the original members still there, but the guys remain the same. They're just good, wholesome, family type of people, and on and off the track, it's just really enjoyable to be around these people. It's a good time. I'll miss that the most. That'll be the one thing that running the funny car, you're a little more
Yeah, I enjoy watching you guys at Great Lakes Dragway, and I love watching the Chicago Wise guys too.
Yeah, the Wise guys, that's an interesting group of people there also. It's little deeper pockets than what we have. It takes a little bit more money to run them cars than what it does. We got this class and tried to cap it at 890, so you wouldn't get carried away, and the average guy could afford to come on the race. And here we are 10 years later, and we still get 2 or 3 new members a year that continue to build cars and come out and race us. So hopefully we'll see another 10 years out of the 45 stuff. We put on a good show. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, next year will be the 25th year for the Chicago Wise guys.
Yeah, they're going strong. Hopefully the 45 group can continue to do the same thing. The Wise guys, they got some cool cars.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Pete Demos, that's a great guy that runs the Wise guys.
Yeah, Pete's run that deal for a lot of years. It's a long time though.
Now, Bob, you were talking about US 30 drag strip. Did you ever run up there? Were you racing?
I made one pass in my '55 Chevy as a kid, as a teenager. That's all I ever run. Being a young man and getting started in life. Just couldn't afford to do that. But we run a bunch of years there with Brian Twilla, and I've done a buddy ride a couple different times down the track, and we were out there 2 nights a week. It seemed like every year that the track was open there for a few years before I moved off and got married, and we kind of went our different directions then. But spent a lot of time out there. A lot of time as a kid, because like I said, my dad went out there. It's him and his buddies. He painted cars and stuff on the side, and a couple of his race car buddies. So we went out there and watched them race, and they went to all the funny car stuff. They had a lot of Friday night funny car fights, and went there a lot. But not any type of racing career for myself out there. So too young, and then moved away, and they shut it down before I was running race cars myself.
Now, did you do racing at Great Lakes when you were younger?
We did a little racing. That's when I first got into, and this was already, we junior drag raced up there, and it was up until we got done with the junior stuff, and I got into that blown El Camino, and I run it up there, and between there, 41 and Osceola were the 3 tracks that I had. It would make a few programs just bracket racing to pick a weekend and go, and didn't really follow a series anywhere, but kind of flip-flop between the 3 tracks depending on what was going on, and before getting involved in the 45 stuff.
Yeah, it might be cool if you get that funny car running by July. Maybe you could go to Funny Car Chaos over there in Central Illinois.
Yeah, that's we're looking at that. That would be interesting to do. But that may be biting off a little more than I could chew at the present moment. But I at least would like to go spectate, and if I can't participate.
Oh yeah.
We put this together and get a little test and then get licensed and see what we got. But certainly, they got a Funny Car Chaos coming up in Martin. I just seen it come out over the internet today in September. That would be a good one to show up at. Martin's just a phenomenal racetrack.
It's always a beautiful thing seeing whole line of funny cars with the bodies of like 30 funny cars lined up.
Yep. So with Ron and his Streakers Ride Nostalgia car, he runs with the Great Lakes Funny Car guys, and they have a funny car nationals. That's
Yeah,
and these are all strictly alcohol cars. Well,
yeah, I know Keystone.
yeah, Keystone Park. It's so we've run out there the last 2 years, and then when it was in Ohio the year before, Ron actually won that race. That was the first year that I actually started running around with Ron in the funny car, and Bob Piante and Kenny and part of his regular crew. And we won that deal up there. That's Ron put together one heck of a car, and we, Midwest outrun the East Coast that particular night. And back when they at Ohio there, they didn't put a 7-second cap on it, and Ron was the only funny car on the grounds that both nights every pass he made was a 6-second run. But with a heavy on alcohol. Very, very impressive. So yeah, we look forward to that every year in July. And like the Keystone's just been great. There's a lot of funny cars out there, and it's cool to get them all lined up on another track and see them all. That's also what's kind of driven me to take this next step and get involved in this funny car. Just absolutely love that. So now it's time to participate in something like that.
Yeah, Denny Salzwimmer has a great group of guys.
Yeah, Denny's got a good group of cars. Like I said, the people are good, and that's and some of the things that he does there also with they got the Friday night barbecue for all the participants and their crews, and kind of like a potluck thing. Everybody brings a little dish, and Denny puts on a good show. So maybe I'll be fortunate enough to be able to get involved with them. Like I said, we'll see as time goes on here.
Yep.
We'll put it together and get it down to the track, and then see what the future holds for us.
So, Bob, what was the experience like for the first time, racing down a drag race strip?
What was the first experience? Well, I guess it would be back in my 55 Chevy, just a high 11-second run in a 55 Chevy with a straight axle that liked to wander all over the place. It was probably one of the wildest experiences you ever see when you're used to playing around at the street in the dark and you're on a racetrack in the daylight and you can see an empty track in front of you, and it's like, wow, it's a rush. It's an adrenaline rush, even at that, and then to dip down into these 8-second passes that you just want it. You just want it more. Like you can't buy that feeling. It's very interesting.
What kind of motor did you have on the 55 Chevy?
We had a 427 in it. 427 with a all around 4-speed and a 456 rear end in it. And it was a lot of fun for what it was. Had a fiberglass tilt front end on it, and cut quarters with a 1432 tire, and it was just a lot of fun. Threw them off first street car, and with high 11s. That was like, it was a lot of fun.
All right, now let me ask you this question now. What was the experience like the first time driving a blower car?
That's that would have to be US 41. That's when I got into this, I had a 79 El Camino. It was a red one, so like an old tube car. It said the El Camino on the quarter panels. That was my first time ever driving a blower car. That's down the drag strip, and it was a 9-second car. So I can remember making a 10-0 pass, getting a feel for the car, and then cutting it loose. And when you started getting out into the 920s, it was like, wow, just the difference in what less than 1 second looking to see. It's like, wow, this is the only way to go. So I've been watching the blower cars forever and was just crazy about the blowers and yeah, nothing cooler. It just pulls. It pulls from the time that you let off the trans brake to the time that you're on the brakes at the other end. It's just a rush, just a whole different feeling.
Yeah. Now, currently, do you have any sponsors at all?
It's no real sponsors. I mean, Race Engineering's helped me out with some chassis work and things like that, and Joe Gauger and Gauger Race Engines. But and then I can't say enough about Chris Nelson and his graphic art stuff. He's the one that does all of our T-shirts and all of the window decals and all the 45 stuff that you see on the cars. And then, of course, mine's always been a different color. Instead of just the standard white ones, he's made me up some yellow ones or red ones or whatever I wanted for either of the two cars. But as far as anybody that really kicked into the fun, now this has come out of my wife and myself's pockets, and we went and played. And just help from friends. Back to like his kids again and helping each other out and like the Piantes and Catonis and the guys that's helped over the years. I just can't thank enough. Couldn't have done it without everybody.
So what are your favorite tracks to run on?
What's that now?
What are your favorite tracks to race on?
Hands down, it would be Indianapolis. That's been going there. My dad took me there as a kid, and that was always a dream. And if I got one place that I would prefer to race, it would be right there at Indianapolis down in Claremont.
Now, have you reached any milestones in your drag racing career? Well, obviously getting a funny car would be a milestone.
Yeah, that'll be a milestone. Not really. Actually, we've kind of done different than most. I've stayed with this mechanical injection since we started, and just kind of getting over that hump here the last few years, and really getting a handle on what makes these things go on E85. It's no major milestones. It's memorable deals was probably a final round in Nebraska. It's one of the very few final rounds I've been in. And it was actually Bob Piante and his son's car and myself. It's out there at the Ethanol Nationals and in Nebraska in October. That was one of my favorite moments. So all in all, it's just every time you went out, you get up in the morning and you're loaded up and you're looking through 16-year-old eyes and getting ready to go out and play with your car. So I mean, every time still shares the same excitement. So you look forward to it and try to get out the driveway and pointing down the road, then you settle down a little bit and taking the day in. And every time we go out, it's just a lot of fun.
Now, have you had any accidents or close calls throughout your racing career?
No, I've been relatively fortunate. I mean, I've blown a couple of motors, and with the diapers, you really don't feel no effects. And I've had the El Camino sideways out there at Osceola. And I had the vet turn sideways over at 41, and grace of God, he was able to pull the car around and drive through things, but nothing that was ever super close to tearing one up. Been very fortunate. Or smart enough when you feel you get in trouble, you get off the gas pedal. You got to learn to lift. So it's no real super close calls.
All right, now you ready for a few fun questions here, Bob?
What's that again?
I say you ready for a few fun questions now?
Yeah, that's good.
You have any hobbies outside of drag racing? Well, I know one of your hobbies. I saw your picture of the big catfish you caught. You like fishing, I know that much.
Yeah, we enjoy the fishing. That's the boating and fishing with the grandkids. That's and I guess the thing I love the most, as much as I love the drag racing, is deer hunting. I'm a bow hunter. That's and this is the time of year you look forward to. That's you've done your work and you get the opportunity to go sit in a tree stand and think about what you want to do in race cars and go hunt the deer and spend some time with your hunting buddies and with the same passion. That's the other side of the life. Race cars and deer hunting. And like I said, enjoy to get out there. You see on some of the pictures and stuff on my page here. It's grandkids and boating and fishing a little bit. We grew up tubing and stuff on the small lakes and give the kids the same opportunity as what we had. Absolutely love it.
That's a beautiful thing. Now,
so and then I guess the other hobby besides that in the summertime is we like the bikes. That's we get out on a motorcycle and ride a little bit and get down to Daytona and things like that in March and we've ridden bikes. Been married 35 years and for the majority of that 35 years we've been riding motorcycles. So that pretty much sums up as far as the hobbies and passions.
All right. So now with the Pro E85 guys, did you have a greatest competitor in that group?
I'm gonna say no. They're all competitors. So when you put the helmets on, each one of them holds the same thing at stake. We were all friends. And then when it come time to race, we took the racing serious. It's who's gonna do the biggest wheelie, who's gonna get to the end first, who's gonna run the 890 pass. So equally, everybody measures up to the same standard there.
All right, now here's an easy question for you. What's your favorite food?
What's my favorite food? That's a good question. I'm probably a taco eater as much as I am anything else, but it will go right back to just the good old beer corn, just a corn on the cob. But that's probably one of my favorites. Period. Eat it all year round and any day of the week.
What's your favorite beverage to drink?
It's I guess it has to be Miller Lite. So I've gotten pretty good at that. So it's the Miller Lite's probably my favorite beverage to drink.
What's your favorite non-alcoholic beverage?
It's today I'm probably more so on water or a glass of Dr. Pepper.
All right. What's your favorite movie of all time?
Favorite movie of all time? It's Somewhere in Time. It's Somewhere in Time, filmed up there in Michigan. It's Mackinac Island there. It's
Now, what's your favorite music?
What's the favorite music? I'm still a classic rock guy. I enjoy the country stuff today, but I'm a classic rock guy. Kansas is still, that's the number one band that I really enjoy, and still can't get enough of the Ted Nugent and all that, and between that genre and of course the King Elvis Presley. You can't. I'm an Elvis freak. But yeah, pretty much classic rock's what you find out in the garage, or one of the country stations. I flip flop back and forth in between them today. So.
Now, do you have a favorite classic rock band?
Like I said, Kansas. Kansas would be my favorite classic rock band, period. So, seen them as a teenager, seen them as an adult, and if they get close to us this next year on this Point of No Return tour, we'll go see them again. That's thoroughly enjoy Kansas, always have.
Oh yeah, they're doing the whole album on the tour, right? Point of No Return.
Yes, so that'd be a cool one to go see.
Oh yeah.
That's and like I said, I'm a Nugent fan. We've seen him well back when Holiday started with Phil Stanton. We've seen him many years in a row. You can't say no to Uncle Ted. So.
Yep, Sweaty Teddy.
Yep.
The Motor City Madman.
Motor City Madman. That's and the same thing, Bohar. That's a Motor City Madman, plays one hell of a guitar, and is just a passionate Bohar. So man's okay.
Yep. Now, what was your favorite cartoon growing up?
That's favorite cartoon, Speed Racer.
Here comes Speed Racer.
Yep.
How about you have a favorite TV show growing up?
That's growing up. I guess more so as a teenager when Happy Days come out. That's we were such into the '50s stuff that Happy Days was probably my favorite TV show that was out there.
No, yeah, I used to watch that all the time too. Yeah.
It's
Laverne and Shirley.
Yeah, Laverne and Shirley always followed, but Happy Days was the one that we enjoyed to watch. And then as far as younger childhood stuff, it was the family classic stuff. On Sundays. That's to sit down and watch one of the family classic movies. Those were always good. The old war movies, Sink to Bismarck, and things like that. The John Waynes and Sands of Hiroshima and movies like that. It seemed like we always really enjoyed.
Now, were you a fan of Lost in Space?
No, not really. Wasn't much into the space stuff.
What about the Munsters or Addams Family?
Yeah, Munsters was right there. That was another one of the favorites. That's Addams Family. Both of them. Munsters more so than the Addams Family.